Hello everyone, I am Dr. Deepa. Today we will learn about the flexor retinaculum. When we study about the forearm and the hand, we come across two retinaculum over here. One is the flexor retinaculum, which is seen in the anterior part of the forearm, whereas in the extensor, along the extensor portion, we come across the extensor retinaculum. So in this video, we'll study in detail about the flexor retinaculum. We learn the flexor retinaculum under the following headings, that is the attachments, relations and the applied aspect. Under the relations, we look for certain structures which are superficial to the retinaculum and some structures which are deep to the retinaculum. This flexor retinaculum is nothing but the thick, strong, fibrous band which lies just above the wrist, and it converts the anterior concave surface of the carpus into the osseofibrous carpal tunnel. So there are many structures passing through this carpal tunnel to enter the palm. The tunnel contains digital flexor tendons and also the important median nerve. Regarding the attachments of this flexor retinaculum is roughly rectangular in shape, which lies just above the wrist. We can make out the flexor retinaculum has having its bony attachments on the medial side and the lateral side. Along the medial border of the hand, the flexor retinaculum is seen attached to the pisiform bone on the medial side. Yes, medially the retinaculum is attached to the bone, that is the pisiform. Yes, pisiform bone gives attachment to the proximal end of the flexor retinaculum, whereas the distal end along the medial border, the retinaculum receives attachment from the hook of the hamate bone. Along the lateral side, the flexor retinaculum also again here it receives the attachment from two bones, that is the scaphoid. The scaphoid bone at its proximal end and the crust of trapezium along its distal end. So this is about the bony attachments of the flexor retinaculum. I repeat, the retinaculum has got the bony attachments from the carpal bones. Along the medial border at the proximal end, the attachment is from the pisiform bone. Along the distal end of the medial border, the retinaculum receives attachment from the hook of the hamate. Along the lateral side, it has got again two attachments, that is from the scaphoid, tubercle of the scaphoid at the proximal end and the crust of the trapezium over its distal end. So this is about the attachments of the flexor retinaculum along the medial border and along the lateral border. Along its proximal border, the flexor retinaculum becomes continuous with the superficial fascia covering the forearm. In the deeper plane, we can see the flexor retinaculum being continuous with the fascia covering the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. Other than that, along the distal border, we can see this retinaculum merging and becoming continuous with the palmar aponeurosis. The flexor retinaculum along its distal border gives attachment to the palmar aponeurosis. Other than the palmar aponeurosis, the retinaculum also gives attachment to the thenar and the hypothenar muscles along its distal border. So this is about the attachment of the flexor retinaculum. In this picture, we can very neatly see the bony attachments of the flexor retinaculum. As I have already told you, the attachments, that is the medial and the lateral attachments. Along its medial border, the attachment is over the pisiform bone, and here we can see the attachment is over the pisiform bone and the hook of the hamate. Along the lateral border, the attachment is over the tubercle of the scaphoid and the tubercle of the trapezium. So these are the bones which take part in the attachments of the flexor retinaculum. So in this picture, we can also very neatly see the formation of the tunnel deep to the flexor retinaculum over here. Yes, the anterior concave portion of the carpus is converted into the tunnel by the formation of this flexor retinaculum. So, next moving on to the relations of the flexor retinaculum, there are certain structures which pass superficial and there are some structures which pass deep to the retinaculum. The structures which are superficial to the flexor retinaculum are: number one is the tendon of the palmaris longus, the long tendon of the palmaris longus. Next comes the palmar branch of the ulnar nerve, then the palmar branch of the median nerve. Next is the palmar branch of the radial artery, the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery over here. So this is nothing but the branch of the radial artery. Branch of the radial artery. Next makeup is here what we see is the ulnar vessels and nerves. So all these make up the structures which pass superficial to the flexor retinaculum. I repeat, the structures passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum are the palmaris longus tendon, the palmar branches of the ulnar and the median nerve, the branch that is the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery, and the ulnar vessels and the nerves. Ulnar vessels and the nerves. So this is the structures which pass superficial to the retinaculum. Moving on to the structures which pass deep to the retinaculum. The structures which are deep to the retinaculum are all the long flexor tendons, that is the long flexor tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis, the flexor carpi ulnaris. Other than the flexor carpi ulnaris and digitorum superficialis, we also see the long flexor tendon of flexor pollicis longus, along with it the flexor digitorum profundus. Flexor digitorum profundus. So there are in total 4 tendons of the flexor compartment, that is the tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis, the long flexor tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus, along with it the tendons of the flexor carpi radialis and the flexor pollicis longus. Other than these long flexor tendons, the structures which are deeply passing through this flexor retinaculum is one of the important nerve, that is the median nerve. Yes, this median nerve make up the structure passing deep to the flexor retinaculum. So all these are the structures which pass deep to the flexor retinaculum, whereas the structures which are superficially related to the flexor retinaculum are the tendon of palmaris longus, the branch of the radial artery, the ulnar nerve and the vessels, and the flexor carpi ulnaris. So this is about the structures passing superficial and deep to the flexor retinaculum. So here, so in this picture, we can see here, as I told you just now, the long flexor tendons of the digitorum and the profundus. So here are the tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis and the flexor digitorum profundus. Other than that, as I have already told you, the flexor tendon of the flexor carpi radialis and the flexor pollicis longus tendon, along with the important nerve which we can see here, that is the median nerve. So these make up the relations of the flexor retinaculum. Other than these structures, there is something called as synovial sheath. That is there are 2 synovial sheath which we see here, that is the radial bursa and the ulnar bursa. The radial bursa is the synovial sheath covering the tendon of flexor pollicis longus. Yes, the tendon of flexor pollicis longus, flexor pollicis longus, while passing through the flexor retinaculum, while passing deep to the flexor retinaculum, is lying within the bursa of the synovial sheath, which is called as the radial bursa. So this radial bursa, which carries the tendon of the flexor pollicis longus, is arising just about 2.5 centimeter. It is arising about 2.5 centimeter proximal to the flexor retinaculum, and distally we can see the bursa reaching up till the insertion of this muscle, that is insertion of flexor pollicis longus onto the distal phalanx, distal phalanx. Whereas on the other side there is a big bursa which is called as the ulnar bursa, which carries the long flexor tendons of the digitorum, that is the flexor digitorum superficialis and the flexor digitorum profundus. So the long flexor tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis and the flexor digitorum profundus is running within the synovial sheath, which is called as the ulnar bursa. This ulnar bursa also arises about 2.5 centimeter proximal to the flexor retinaculum, and distally we can see the ulnar bursa reaching up till the distal phalanx of the little finger, up till the distal phalanx of the fifth finger, whereas this ulnar bursa is detached from the digital synovial sheath of the other fingers. So this is what is to be highlighted here. So the ulnar bursa begins about 2.5 centimeter proximal to the flexor retinaculum. Along its distal end, it is carried along with the digital synovial sheath of the little finger, whereas it is detached or it is separated from the digital synovial sheath of the other fingers. So this is about the radial and the ulnar bursa, which also make up the content of the flexor retinaculum. Lastly, moving on to the clinical importance of this flexor retinaculum, there is something called as carpal tunnel syndrome. In this picture, what we see here is the carpal tunnel syndrome, which the one which I am highlighting over here. Now the carpal tunnel, which is covered by the flexor retinaculum, as we have already studied. So here are the structures which are superficial to the retinaculum. Here we can see the structures deep to the retinaculum, and the red one which is seen here is nothing but the bursae, that is the synovial sheath covering the long tendons. Now what happens in this carpal tunnel syndrome is that the median nerve sometimes may be compressed in the carpal tunnel along the sides of the synovial sheath, that is the median nerve may be compressed, that is the compression of the median nerve in the carpal tunnel due to the continuous swelling of the synovial sheath may be seen. So this is called as the carpal tunnel syndrome, which is manifested by the weakness and the wasting of the thenar muscles with the loss of the power of opposition, and also with the loss of the cutaneous sensation of the palmar surface involving the lateral 3.5 digits. So this is what is seen as a clinical manifestation of the carpal tunnel syndrome. So this syndrome is mainly occurring due to the compression of the nerve, that is the median nerve, as this median nerve is closely related to the bursae, that is the synovial sheath covering the long flexor tendon. So any inflammation of these long flexor tendon may lead to the swelling of the synovial sheath, the swelling which leads to the compression of the median nerve, leading to the symptoms like cutaneous loss of the palmar surface of the lateral 3.5 digits, and also there is loss of power of opposition. So this is about the carpal tunnel syndrome. So this is as a whole about the flexor retinaculum. So we have studied about the definition of the flexor retinaculum, the attachments of the flexor retinaculum, the structures related to the flexor retinaculum, and the applied clinical importance of the flexor retinaculum in this video. Thank you.